Attention prayer. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheist. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he in this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. And I ask protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. Please be seated, brothers and sisters. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet my brothers and sisters on this Sunday morning in the greeting words of peace. We say it in our original tongue, the language of our ancestors of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone feeling? Brothers and sisters, it's a beauty and an honor to be before you and just share with you some of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we thank each and every one of you for coming out on this Sunday morning, and we thank those who are tuned in to our live webcast on NOI.org. We appreciate you for just taking a little short moment out of your week and spending it in a cause that will literally free you and save your life if you accept and apply what is shared today. Many of us, brothers and sisters, don't really understand our true value. And when we hear the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say that the black man and woman is God, a lot of us take that as sometimes a cliche. But every time before I come out to share in the opening presentation on a Sunday, I always get nervous and I always get butterflies and I always start worrying like, man, I wonder if I'm gonna put it together right. I wonder if I'm gonna be a good representation of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. And one of those things, I used to get a little worried about it, but it's actually good, because to know that I'm speaking to the people of God and I'm presenting before the people of God should make you nervous. We have too many leaders in our community that don't see the value of the black community, so they say whatever. They fly from the cusp. They just make it up as they go. They just negotiate and work out deals behind closed doors. But it's an honor and a privilege to be before each and every one of you, because God has hand-selected and God has hand-chosen each and every one of us for this moment and this time in history. The minister said on Twitter, he said, the greatest strength of any human being is in our righteousness. Commit yourself to live a better and a more righteous life. When I read that tweet, I began to reflect on why is it that many of us will live righteously or strive to live righteously for a moment in time, but then we get withered away. We begin to get swallowed up by the world. And I was thinking about it, and I said, man, you know what? Many times we leave the righteous life because it's not easy. It has difficulty attached to it. And the minister said in a lecture one time, he said that just because you're righteous or just because you're favored by God does not mean that he won't try you. And we have to really begin to analyze that and say, man, just because a little weight is being put on my shoulders doesn't mean that God is hating me or God doesn't think that I'm living up to his standards. That means that he's actually trying to make a better version of who we really are. There is no martial artist that allows one of his students to get to the end of the, not the end of the journey, but to the black belt without putting him through pain, without putting him through struggle. There's no champion in any endeavor, sports or academia or whatever it may be, that got to where they are to master what they master without some type of difficulty attached to it. The minister said in the current edition of the Final Call newspaper, he gave the story of Cain and Abel. And he talked about how after God had approved of Abel's offering, Cain came behind it and his offering was rejected. And then he said that the countenance of Cain fell and anger flared up in his face. And the minister said to us, and he warned us, he said, we have to be careful as to how we handle disappointment and dissatisfaction. Because many times, and this is actually a quote from him, he said, when you are angry, right at the door of your anger is sin. So that emotion, we really have to learn how to control. And the reason I bring that up is yesterday I had the honor and privilege to represent our nation at the Smithsonian Institute, who did a millennial conversation on faith. And they had different walks of faith come from all over the city. We dialogued about what was supposed to be God talk. But what I heard in a lot of the comments from my peers and counterparts was that they were angry because the previous years of institutions had failed us. They weren't concerned about the millennials until the millennials were old enough to pay in tithes, to give to the collection plate. And because of that disgust with old school religion or traditional religion, a lot of them were angry. But like the minister said, at the door of anger is sin. So what they did was, instead of placing their anger in the proper area and saying, you know what, let's get rid of these old way of doing things and put together a better way of doing things, they allowed the devil to creep right in. So yesterday I heard so much talk about queer agendas. Remember, this is God talk now. So much talk about homosexuality, so much talk about the LGBTQ movement. How is that a part of God talk? Because the last time I checked, no matter what scripture you bring up, all of them speak against the abomination or the sin of homosexuality. Not that we're discrediting or getting rid of the actual person, but we're discrediting that type of behavior. And what I said was, man, they were so angry with the institutions prior that they allowed the devil to creep in to the new agenda. So we have to be very mindful of how we handle disappointment and know that disappointment and dissatisfaction leads and brings about change. But that change is all contingent upon how we perceive that dissatisfaction. So our keynote presenter today, Brother Nuri Muhammad, is going to talk about the formula of success. But just know that even in the formula of success, you're going to have some type of hiccup, some type of disappointment. Many of us in our personal lives are experiencing that right now. But just watch our thoughts. Watch how we handle disappointment and allow it to be seen as God really making us into something new, as opposed to a consequence of our former behavior. May Allah bless you. We have a beautiful lineup this morning. Please welcome our next speaker, brother student minister, a minister in the class, a student in the ministry class here in Chicago, brother Tariq Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. We greet you with the greeting words of peace and paradise. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, it's a debt of gratitude. I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his National Assistant, Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad, for allowing me the privilege and opportunity to be before you all this morning, to share brief words with you based on the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we want to welcome each and every one of you all out to Mosque Maryam, the National Center of the Nation of Islam here in Chicago, Illinois. We thank all of those who are watching via webcast. And today we just want to, as every other Sunday, and every Sunday period, we just want to share with you the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because the Nation of Islam is designed for our salvation. The Nation of Islam is designed to put us as black people who have been downtrodden in America back on top of civilization. The Nation of Islam is designed to put us into a better state or condition. So when I looked up the word design, design means a plan or a drawing produced to show something to look or function a certain way according to what that designer wants to design. So if the Nation of Islam was founded by Almighty God, Allah himself, and he has a plan or a design, he's designing and planning and drawing you out to be a reflection of himself. So what you hear today from the teachers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to put you, as Student Minister Nuri Muhammad is going to present to us, he's going to give to us a formula or a plan to put us on the road to becoming a reflection of Almighty God Allah. But you may ask this question. You may say, if the Nation of Islam is designed to do all of these things, why is it that the black community is in the condition that they're in, and why is it increasingly worse? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave a beautiful answer to that question. He said, our condition is only helped by our accepting that truth that is charged to our bad condition into a better one. Check out what he said after that. He said, we are suffering because we have rejected that truth, and now the consequences of our rejection are at our doorstep and in our houses. So if we heard the truth from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or one of his representatives, and our condition has not changed, it's because we have rejected that truth. Just straight up. He goes on to say that we can only be benefited if we accept the truth and live the life that truth directs. So as Brother Daniel just said, he said, isn't it something that when we hear that truth, right, and then we strive to live a righteous life, right, man, we could try for an hour, right, and then it get hard, right? We could try for a day or for a week, and we feel like we doing good. But look at how Allah God tests you. He throws something up because you're trying to forge a new way for your future, but he throws something up from your past just to try you and test you, just to see how you're going to react. He tries you by the company you keep. You want to make a new life for yourself, so you have to cut off certain people in your life. What he does is he has certain individuals who try to creep back into your life. What he does is when you try to put down the blunt or the alcohol or whatever bad habit you had, what he does is he brings individuals in your life who try to bring up the old you. But Allah wants to make the new you, so what you have to do is you have to focus on that new state of mind, that new person, the new brother, the new sister that I want to be. And you have to not look at the past and only see it as a trial. So in this, I saw where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a perfect example or a perfect testament of what the product is when we accept that truth. He and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are products, and they are representatives of what heaven on earth looks like. They are representatives of what the hereafter looks like. And what we want to say to you today, that you can also live in the hereafter while you live. You don't have to wait to die to live in heaven. You can live in heaven while you're alive. You can live in heaven and you can make your own home a heaven. For the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the hereafter for my followers is now. He said that the hereafter doesn't mean someplace you go when you're dead. Look at the word hereafter. Here. What is here? Where are you at? You here, right? After. Here after what? Here after the destruction of the white man's world. But the first destruction that comes from the white man's world is in our minds, because he is all up in our minds. But what Allah has come to do is to eradicate him out of our minds. All praise is due to Allah. So we can all experience the hereafter while we live, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to qualify that statement. He said it's only based on one condition. Do you know what that condition is? That you should submit your will to do the will of Almighty God Allah. And that's what all a Muslim is. A Muslim is a person who submits their will to do the will of Almighty God Allah. And when you submit your will to do his will, it'll give you peace. It'll give you peace of mind and contentment. It'll give you so much comfort, and you will have a sense of security that you never felt before. And most of the things we do, as I bring on our next presenter, one of the things we do when we have these different vices is that we have a sense of insecurity. And so when we have that sense of insecurity, we want something or a device or a mechanism or a person to give us that sense of security. We want to have somebody to put a piece of that empty veil so we can be full again. But the only way we can be full and operate as a natural human being to fulfill our nature is we have to be identified with the true source of power. And that's Almighty God Allah. So everything that I'm saying to you this morning is all coming from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And as you apply these teachings to your life, you will have peace. You will have comfort. You will have so much joy that when your friends and your family members see you, that the brother or the sister or your friend see you, they just see a glow in your face. And they just say, man, what are you doing? Who you listening to? Man, I need to get on what you getting on. They see you start having money in your pocket, right? The wife is happy, the husband is happy, you happy. They saying, what's going on? You just tell them, I'm applying what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, and I'm living in the hereafter while I live. So I want you all to do this as you all hear Student Minister Nuri. He's going to give us a formula. He's going to give us a plan that we can actually apply in our life. And when he gives that formula and plan, I'm just challenging you, because there's so much challenges on social media. I want to give you this challenge. I want you to try what he's saying. I want you to try the God that you say you believe in. And I guarantee you, if you try it, you'll like it. Thank you all for these short moments as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. And please help me welcome the National Latino Representative of the Nation of Islam, Student Minister Abel Muhammad, with a round of applause. Assalamu alaikum.
En el nombre de Allah, el benéfico, el misericordioso, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to greet our brothers and our sisters here in Chicago or wherever you may be watching us across the country or across the planet this morning in the greeting words of peace, which we say in our original language of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. Those words mean peace be unto you. And as you just heard Brother Tariq and Brother Daniel expound on, it seems like such a simple thing to just have some peace. If we just had a little bit of peace, how much better would we be? But it seems like it's so hard for us to get a hold of it. And when we get just a moment of it, it seems so hard for us to keep it and stay grasped onto it. There's a chapter in the Holy Quran, the 103rd chapter, which is called Al-Asr, which they translate into English to mean by the time. Some say by the ages or epochs of time. But it has to do with time. And it reads, it's a very short chapter, it says, by the time, surely man, meaning male and female, is in loss, except for those who believe and do good and enjoin one another to truth and enjoin one another to patience. The first thing you'll notice, it says by the time. And we have an interesting understanding or often misunderstanding of time. We think that the device on our watch or on our phone, that tells us what the time is. It's a system that was brought up in order for people to be able to try to measure what time is. But man's time is not necessarily God's time. So you and I can look at our watch, but if you're in Chicago and in a few weeks they'll be asking us to fall back and move our watches, right? Well, that shows you and I something to consider about that which we're using to measure time. It's showing us that the device that man came up with isn't quite accurate. So every once in a while, twice a year, once in the spring or going into the spring or coming out of the winter, and another time going into the colder seasons, we spring forward and we fall back, right? Why? Because they're telling us that if you keep your watch as it is right now, you're not going to be able to measure the time correctly. So because the device that we're using to tell time is not calibrated properly or needs to be calibrated and recalibrated properly to account for its inaccuracies, then if we don't know the time to recalibrate, it could be full sun outside and we'll still be in the bed because we did not adjust to the signs of the times. God's time doesn't work like our watch or our phone. God is not just the recorder of time, he's the maker of time. Before there was a universe, before there was a system, before there was an earth, God was already in time, making time. And it is in that type of universe that we come. So when God tells us by the time, he's speaking of something specific that is taking place. He's not just talking about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock. He's talking about an age that is coming in and another one that is going out. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper illuminates this for us. He says, we are in the time of judgment. When Allah God renders his judgment, he wants us to agree with him. So he's patient. He will send his judgment down, then wait on you to come around because at first you may think God is wrong. Now think about that. What a beautiful God. Here he is, all powerful. He's already made a judgment. He's already made a decision. He says, behold, I make all things new. Not some things new, says the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, all things. Then he says, there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and the former things shall pass away. This is a no good world because it is ruled by the enemy of God. So when God starts judging the world in which America is the chief, she is the head of a world, that means nations have to pass away. Kingdoms have to pass away, systems have to pass away, and people who operate systems, who hold the kingdoms, are in the nations that fight against the kingdom of God, all have to go. This is the time of loss that we're in. We're in a time where not only are we losing physical things, so more and more people you see living under bridges because they've lost their home. More and more funerals we see every day because people are losing lives and loved ones. More and more we're losing hope even in a world like this. So we are losing our places of shelter and refuge. We're losing our ability to cope because we've lost faith, because we don't see a way out of this system, which leads more and more of our people every day to lose our minds even. So it says, by the time surely man is in loss, but God makes an exception. He says, except for those who believe. Well, there's a whole lot of people who claim to believe in different things, but what we believe in is not necessarily benefiting us. Because you and I can be in the church, the mosque, the temple, the synagogue. We can do our ancient African and indigenous traditions, yet we still don't have what is needed to overcome the obstacles of loss that are in our way today. So the first thing we have to do is believe. Believe in what? Believe in the truth that God is giving to you and I today, because it bears witness to what he gave 4,000 years ago. It bears witness to what was given 2,000 years ago and 14,000 years ago. And it is the fulfillment of all that was given. It is the fullness of time today. So we're in the time of judgment. We're in a time of loss. We can only lose if we don't believe and do good. What does it mean to do good in a time of loss? It means that you have to do good by what you and I claim we believe in. What good is it to say from our lips, I believe Jesus is my personal Lord and Savior, then go out and buy some weed? Go out and pick up some liquor. Because the Christ isn't Christ enough to crush the wickedness in our personal lives. He's not enough to overcome the obstacles that we're facing, because there's something wrong not with what he's taught us, there's something wrong with our belief in what he's taught us. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says to us that God is patient, because when he sends his judgment down, then he waits on you to come around, because at first you may think God is wrong. Think about that just for a second. We may never say from our lips, I think God is wrong. But we say it in our actions every single day. And you know where it starts? When you look around and say, oh, I know God is all powerful. But then we lose hope because we don't see him powerful enough to affect the change in my personal life. I know God is all powerful, but man, that brother or that sister keeps calling me. And I don't know how to overcome that, though I claim to believe in a God who holds all power. Oh, I believe that he's merciful, but I just can't forgive myself for what I did. Then that undermines our belief that he who's all powerful forgives us also. You say that we want better, and we know that he is the best of knowers, and he's the beneficent and the merciful, but we don't believe that we deserve his blessings and his mercy. And we show that by our lack of love for ourselves. It shows by our miscare of ourselves, for our carelessness with how we treat this beautiful life that he gave you and I. Because if I can't love the life he gave me, how can I love the life that he gave to my sister? How can I love the life that he gave to my brother? So it says in the scripture, how can you say you love God whom you have never seen, and hate your brother or your sister that you see every single day? It is because we have lost the knowledge of God and the knowledge of ourselves. And what we need today then is not just that that's going to make us feel better, although we deserve to feel better, don't get me wrong. In a world like this that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have described to us, a world that makes you think that the darker you are, the further from God you are, when nothing could be further from the truth. Because when God made man, he made him in his image and after his likeness. And according to the Quran, the first man is made out of black mud. Well, you don't get a white man from black mud. You get a black-skinned man from black mud. Well, you may say, I don't believe in the scriptures. Okay. Well, what do you think about science? Because science says that the dominant is the darker. And you could produce the lighter from the darker, but you can't produce the darker from the lighter people. So science then bears witness if you don't want to believe God, because he's the God of science. He's the God of mathematics. He's the God of all circumstances. And he has an enemy who wants to deceive us in all of those circumstances. So they lie to you about the scripture, then they misrepresent the science of things. So scientists have proven that the original man is black. Yet you and I aren't taught that in school. They have proven that the original man was made of black mud. And they can prove it through religion. They can prove it through science. But instead they give you theories and doctrines which undermine the truth of the Bible. So they make you think you're a Hamitic people from a Hamitic curse that turned black because God cursed you black. No, God blessed you and I to be of the original black people of the planet Earth. But we're lost today. We're lost today because we don't know the truth. We've been lied and deceived, and God has come to judge the world that has lied to you and I. We should not be in disagreement with God. We should be thankful to God that he has come to give to you and I the truth. For Jesus said it is the truth that shall make you and I free. Free from what? Free from bondage to satanic forces. Free from thinking of ourselves as less than who and what we really are. You and I are not cursed black. We're blessed to be the people of God. We're blessed to be his choice. We're blessed to be those who will be first and no longer last. Don't you want to be no more of the losers? Aren't you ready to be of the successful? Aren't you ready to be of those who are called forth? Well, that's the kind of message we're going to hear from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through our guest speaker today, Student Minister Nuri Muhammad. To bring us further into our program, please welcome to the rostrum this beautiful brother who's no stranger to us here at Mas Mariam, this wonderful representative and teacher, Student Minister Shahid Muhammad. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Greet you all with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling? How are you thinking? Praise be to Allah. All over the planet Earth, people are crying out for justice. Corruption, wickedness, and evil machinations of governments and rulers is widespread and intensifying every day. There are white people seeking justice. The brown man is yearning for justice. The yellow man is crying out for justice. The red man, we know, is fighting for justice. But no one is more in need of justice than a black man and woman here in the wilderness of North America. This is why we're blessed to have divine guidance on what it needs or what we need to get that justice. So I would like to go to words from the Christ, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in a book monumental called The Fall of America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this: although we are the chosen of God, when it comes to justice, the so-called American Negroes are the most deprived people on the planet Earth. Then he goes on to say in that same chapter, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, all our prayers have come to naught because we have proceeded out of ignorance. We have not known the true God. We have not known who are our brothers. We have not known who are our enemies. We have not known who is God. Nor have we known who is the devil. In a nutshell, we have not known the truth about God, the devil, and until that truth is made plain to us, our prayers for justice will forever go unanswered. We will be the subject of scorn and laughter. End quote. So if we don't get a certain truth, family, a certain knowledge, we will never receive the justice you and I are looking for. One of our major enemies is ignorance. So how do we get that unique, specific truth about God, about self, and about the devil? Will the public schools of our enemies give us that knowledge? You already know the answer. Even a wildebeest mother is smart. She would not send her wildebeest children to a lion school. Will the prestigious universities, institutions of higher learning give us their truth? Will all the preachers, reverends, imams, soothsayers, so-called scholars, wannabe scholars, scientists of religion, priests and bishops give us that truth? None of these sources can give us that truth because of something simple. They ain't got it. So where can we go to get the three essential knowledges? The knowledge of God, the knowledge of self, and the knowledge of the devil. Where does one go to get that elite message and teaching? Well, we got good news for you today. We have been gifted and blessed to be in that special place today. Tune into that special webcast at the right time, because we're about to hear what we're about to hear. What we're about to receive and what we're about to listen to is that one and only divine truth that gives us the root knowledge of self, the supreme knowledge of God and the devil. And that is none other than the life-giving, life-saving, life-transforming teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. No other religious, scientific, scholarly dissertation or exegesis contains the essentials, the spiritual ingredients, the mathematically precise truth that the body of knowledge the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brought to us. And guess what? Directly from the mouth, the mind, and the spirit of Allah God. Today, the best instrument, the purest vessel, the most powerful representative of that message and body of knowledge is none other than the greatest helper, the most magnificent aider, the elite assistant, the supreme student and national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. However, there are 7 continents, 195 countries, and an estimated 50,000 cities all over the planet needing the divine truth coming from Minister Farrakhan. There's no way that he could be everywhere, every place on earth, at any particular moment in time. So just as a wise ruler appoints ambassadors, a wise captain selects and designates qualified lieutenants, a wise king or queen has representatives, messengers, and spokespersons. So does the man of God have specially qualified student ministers. Today, we will not be presenting to you an average ambassador of truth. We will not disappoint you with some lightweight wannabe speaker and presenter. We are not bringing a rookie player on the liberation team. We didn't invite you today to hear a scared-to-death storefront preacher or reverend. But today, We have one of the top stars in the ministry class of the Nation of Islam. We have coming before you an electrifying representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, one who travels all over the globe illuminating the minds of our people. This brother is a spiritual energizer, a dynamic, intellectually gifted, and spiritually proficient Islamic evangelist. He is an author of 3 books. He is a committed and devoted husband and father, one of the nation's highly sought-after ministers. At this moment, at this critical hour, in our struggle for liberation, resurrection, and redemption, we bring to you a great defender of Minister Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam, back at Mount Mariam for a heavyweight fight against spiritual darkness with a guaranteed knockout, because his name means light. Can you receive the student minister of the mighty city of Indianapolis, our beloved brother, student minister Nuri Muhammad?
Assalamu alaikum. Please be seated. I started looking around trying to figure out who he was going to bring on. And they nudged me and said, "That's you." I said, "Oh, man." Well, thank you, Brother Shaheed, for that ridiculous introduction. In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad most certainly is his messenger. We are eternally grateful to that one wise, the true, and the living God, from saying from his own mouth, as it was recorded by Malachi in chapter 3, verse 6, God said, "I am the Lord, I changeth not." That means that God has a certain methodology, that the pattern of God is consistent. And his pattern says that anytime a people are found in a mess, he raises a messenger to clean up that mess. Anytime a people are in problems, a prophet comes to solve those problems. Whenever people start warring with themselves, God raises a warner to stop that war. Whenever there is a crisis, then Christ is. Don't tell me that Moses could be sent to a people that were slaves. Don't tell me Noah could be sent to a people that were fighting and killing each other. Don't tell me Lot was sent to a people who had become freaks of nature. Don't tell me Muhammad came to a people that had lost respect for their women and were intoxicated all the time. Don't tell me Abraham went to a people that were idol worshipers. And here we are as black people in America with all of them conditions wrapped up in one time with a few more added to it. And God wouldn't raise one for us. So, like all of those people in the past, they all put in an application to the Lord of the worlds for divine intervention. The application came from their prayers and from their supplications and from their songs of struggle. Well, we too, as black people in America, we put our application into the Lord of the worlds for divine intervention. And when Allah looked at our condition, he said, "I'm going to do a little something special for you all, because you all are in a condition like no other people have ever been in before. So I'm not going to send you a messenger, warner, or a prophet. I'm going to come and seek and save you myself." And we bear witness that he came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. All praises are due to Allah. And when he came and looked on our condition, he said, "I got to do a little something a little bit more than normal for you, because normally when a people fall from the pinnacle of power and success, the methodology is God sends a messenger, raises up a messenger, and then after the message is delivered, destruction follows thereafter." But we thank Allah that he recognized that the hell we suffered in North America was so great and grievous that we needed a little bit extra. So he didn't just bring a messenger, he came himself, raised a messenger, but even after the message was delivered by the message, he didn't give us one, he gave us two. And he raised up one in this modern dispensation of time. The man that has been anointed by Allah to teach and to guide the world back to the straight path of God. That man that I'm talking about is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their holy and righteous names My brothers, my sisters, that I greet you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Before I began, I want to extend the love and greetings of Assalamu alaikum from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We will do just that, and for anybody looking around at us thinking there's something wrong with us for what we just did, no, it ain't nothing wrong with us for doing what we just did. But it is something wrong with you if you had a problem with it. Because last I checked, right here in Chicago, Illinois, when that no good ham sandwich eating judge walks out, or one of these corrupt congressmen or surreptitious snake-defied senators, hell, when the school board president walks out, there's always somebody in the corner in one of them little police uniforms. And he'll say when the judge walks out, all rise. And then they got the nerve to say the honorable judge so-and-so. Now, Farrakhan more honorable than any judge in any city of America. And he's more worthy to be stood for after all he's been standing for us for over 64 years. So when he gives that greeting, as his soldiers, as his students, we stand and we return that greeting back to that most beautiful and most dutiful of human beings. We are thankful to Allah for having such one in our midst as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I don't know about you, but do you remember when you were in school and a test was put before you? That sometime it mattered not how much classwork or how much homework or how much study or review you did for the test, when it came time to actually take the test, there was always a little fear and a little struggle to perform it right. But every now and then on a test, you'll find at the top of the section something called an example. And whenever you look at the top and seeing that which was the example, it didn't give you the exact answer to every problem that you were looking at. But what it did show you is the formula you had to employ to solve all the problems that you were looking at. We thank Allah for the example at the top of the test. But we thank Allah over and over again for the example that He's put at the top of the test of life, called the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who represents the absolute formula for success. He's the embodiment of unconditional love plus unshakable faith, multiplied by divine focus and extraordinary effort. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Today, sisters and brothers, my assignment is to unpack the variables in a subject that is titled The Formula of Success. Anyone that knows anything about a formula know that a formula requires the right ingredients, the right amount, and those right ingredients at the right amount have to be placed in the right order. Another word for formula is recipe. And you know when you're cooking, you can't just have the right, when you're cooking, when you're supposed to be cooking. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. When a man is in love with a woman, her needs become his goals. And when a woman is in love with a man, she becomes a food scientist that studies the function and purpose of her man, and then goes into the kitchen using it as a laboratory to figure out the appropriate raw material she needs to put together in an organized recipe to give that man the appropriate amount of carbohydrates, fiber, amino acids, and protein that is necessary to be able to make that man strong enough to wake up the next day ready to conquer the known world. And any sister that is not just a cook or chef, but is a food scientist, you know whenever you are working out the formula for a meal or the recipe for a meal, they'll tell you, put your dry ingredients in this bowl. Come on, sisters, help me out now. And you know, the black man, he cooks too. We just rebellious with the recipe. Whenever when you cooking, the ego can't get in the way. But when the black man show, you know, the black man don't like asking for no directions. When he driving, don't like following no instructions on putting stuff together. I got this. And when we look at the recipe, it say, well, what's the difference? Just put all of it together. But you know that when you're formulating a recipe, that they'll tell you, put your dry ingredients in this bowl. Put your wet ingredients in this bowl. Stir the wet ingredients and then pour slowly. Yeah, come on, sisters, help me out. You know you can't just have the right ingredients. You can't just have the right amount. If you want a formula of success in preparing a meal, you also have to have them put in the right order. Did you know that the same ingredients that is in a chicken egg is also in snake venom? The only difference is the renegotiation of 1 or 2 molecules of the exact same ingredient. Now, wisdom says, if you wake up in the morning trying to get your baby off to school, wisdom says, you know what? Today I'm going, you don't say, I'm going to go ahead and make my baby a snake venom omelet to get him going today. Just because it's made of the same ingredients, but it's not the same amount, it don't have the same effect. Did you know that water is hydrogen and oxygen? It's called H. Okay, some of us remember. It's called H, which means there are 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 molecule of oxygen. And when you put the hydrogen and the oxygen with 2 molecules being hydrogen and only 1 oxygen, you have water. But guess what? Ammonia is also made of hydrogen and oxygen. If you take the H2 and add 1 more molecule to the O, making it H2O2, the same thing that produced water now produces ammonia. If you take it and produce just 1 molecule of hydrogen and no molecules of oxygen, you end up turning the same water into ammonia or peroxide. Does that make sense? So the right ingredients are important, but the right amount in the right order is also important. In this subject called the recipe for success, there's a message that was delivered by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan titled The Will of God on October 26, 1986. Did y'all hear what I just said? Did I say 1986? 33 years ago. Brothers and sisters, we will never be able to stand before God and say we weren't well taught. The only thing we can say is that we didn't follow the teaching like we should have followed the teaching, but we have been well taught. There was a brother that sent a request to me recently. He said, brother, I would like to come under your tutelage and I'd like to become your student. And I said, no, sir, brother, you don't want to do that. And he looked at me with that squint. I don't know what it is about us that we start squinting when we're trying to figure something out. As if squinting is going to actually make our brain work better. But he squinted and looked at me and said, I don't understand. I said, brother, let me tell you something. If you like anything I have to say, you will absolutely love what my teacher has to say. I'm not out here in the field trying to teach nobody nothing. My goal in life is to master the art of bearing witness. I do not want anyone to become a student of me. I want you to pull up your desk right next to my desk, and let's both of us look at the divine teacher God has raised for us in the person of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You get what you get, I get what I get, and then we bring it together and we've got what we both got, and let's go out here and save the planet. We'll never be able to say we were not well taught. In this message, 33 years ago delivered, when I was in the 7th grade, Lord have mercy. The minister says these words: the nature in which we are created makes us want to be successful in our lives. It is not natural to want to fail. In study guide number 6, we looked at the true meaning of the word successful and learned that it is not measured by material things. In the eyes of Allah, God, we are not successful unless we have mastered the forces that keep us from Him. Y'all got your seatbelt on? But check this out. The minister goes on to say, the acquisition of material things automatically comes to one who has cultivated and developed him or herself through belief and application of principles of faith. It is the principles that Allah God uses to measure our success, not the results. Then he leaves a special note. He says this: in the law of success, the Caucasian is not mentioned as an obstacle. He is not mentioned as one that is consequential. It is true, black man and black woman, that we live in America on a real life monopoly board. Yes, we do. Anybody that ever played Monopoly know that before you ever start the game, you come to the game with an inheritance. Okay, y'all never played Monopoly. You get them 2 500s, those 2 $100 bills. Help me out now. You get them 4 50s and them 6 20s, and them 5 10s, 5s and 1s, and then you roll the dice. And on the game of Monopoly, when you move around the board, you're left with 2 options. Either 1, you rent when somebody else owns it, or 2, you buy it if nobody has purchased it. Is that the truth? But what has happened in America is that when every other voluntary immigrant comes to America, we are involuntary immigrants. Meaning we didn't choose to become citizens of the United States of America. We were kidnapped, Caucasianized, Westernized, Christianized, robbed of our name, our culture, our religion, our moral ways, folk ways, norms, and God, and we was brought to America as slaves. We were involuntary immigrants. But all the other immigrants, whenever they come, they got startup capital. They got grants. They got land grants. They got special funding set up for them. So when they start the game of Monopoly, they come with their 500s, their 20s, their 50s, their 100s, their 1s and 5s and 10s. But when we got free from slavery, they let us go and we never got our 40 acres and a mule. So we start the game of life in the white man's world called North America with no inheritance. And since there's only 2 options, either you buy if no one owns, or you rent if you can. But if you don't have no money to start the game off with, then you don't have the ability to buy or rent. So you end up playing off the board. Off the board is selling dope. Off the board is robbing and stealing. Off the board is living on welfare. And when you play off the board, you end up going to jail. Going directly to jail. And you don't get to pass go and collect your $200. It is the truth that the same bank that will give you and me a $80,000 loan for an Escalade, a $150,000 loan for a degree that won't work, a $250,000 loan for a plastic house. Let Yet you go to that same bank that gave you $250,000 for a plastic house, $80,000 for an Escalade, and $150,000 for a degree that don't work, and ask them for a small business loan of $10,000. Why is it that you are willing to fund my car, fund this house, and fund this degree, but you won't finance me and open in my business for myself? It's because they know that business is warfare. And Negroes and Escalades won't change the condition of black people. Living in the condos in the suburbs won't change the condition of black people. And with us having more black people that graduated from college last year than in the 10 years before, all put together, and we still in this condition, college degrees haven't gotten us up out of this condition. Business is the activity of life. So the Caucasian has set up a world for us where we do have to work twice as hard to get half as much. We are still the last hire. And the what? And the first fire. But if the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is telling us that in the law of success, the Caucasian is not mentioned, he is not mentioned as even a consequential figure. What he's telling us is that whenever we spiritually cultivate ourselves and apply the principles of faith, we activate the override mechanism in the universe that neutralizes everything the white man can do against us. And we will be successful regardless. Y'all still all right? I want to say to the parents and the teachers, anyone that has children, especially young children, any teacher that teaches children, especially young children, don't just teach your babies how to count. Teach your children what counts most. Success does not come from the physical mathematics of putting numbers together. Real success comes from spiritual mathematics by putting principles together. Does that make sense? So, in a world like the world we live in right now, in fact, in this wicked world, the fact that whenever the word success was even mentioned, if we were to be honest and close our eyes and tell everybody what we seen, most of us seen luxurious items. Come on, keeping it 100 now. We seen Bentleys and mansions and money and gold and whatnot. That is a product of success, but that's not the ultimate success. In this world of materialism, in this world of non-spiritual development, in this world, they don't even spell success S-U-C-C-E-S-S. In this world, success is spelled $, U-C-C-E, $. But success is more than just money. In fact, some people are so poor, all they have is money. Y'all didn't catch that. Y'all didn't catch that. Y'all didn't catch that. In the world we live in, God is written all the way out of the equation. When you get on an airplane, now, if there's any pilots and all, I've been wanting to ask this question just in case. If it's a pilot, I'd like to talk to you after the meeting is over, because somebody got to explain to me and tell me if it's true. Is it a rule that all airplane pilots got to talk in a sexy way? Somebody help me. Is it a rule that everybody got to be sexy when they come across? I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm not trying to be romantic back here. Yes, we'll be flying about 40 knots above the third cloud and looking around 5,780 feet, and we're going to be cruising in. And we had de-iced the plane, and we were a little slow, but we're going to make up for time in the air, and we're going to land you, get you right there to Cincinnati. About today's hip-hop and R&B, the Quiet Storm. What are you, a DJ or a pilot? But you notice, when you're on the plane, the pilot don't ever say God willing. You don't hear no inshallah. They don't tell everybody before we take off, I'd like for everybody to please bow their heads. Here we are getting ready to get into a mechanical metal bird. And it's 700 of us, and we getting ready to be 3 miles up in the atmosphere, going from one city to another at 512 miles per hour. Surely this is an inshallah moment. Surely this is a time to call on the Lord. But they don't call on God. They say we'll be landing, and then they'll tell you exactly 10:38 p.m. And even whenever they go into outer space, you watch the NASA liftoff. Now you getting ready to go, you getting bust through the ceiling of gravity. You're getting ready to go out into Mars. And the people on it going to be gone for a year and a half, and you're going to be in a metal contraption in the atmosphere where there is no gravity. But when it comes time for liftoff, they don't say the Lord's Prayer, Al-Fatiha, God willing, God be. They say 5, 4. Come on, is this the truth? The white man is a spiritless species on the planet. Is this the truth? My wife is here, and I'll tell you something that she did. I can tell you now after it's all been over, because I came out of it. My wife hypnotized me with HGTV. I never had watched it before. I should have knew something was wrong, because every morning I start waking up, I start looking for paintbrushes instead of toothbrushes. Next thing you know, we renegotiating windows and floors, and I didn't know what had happened. I became property brother. Huh? But when you see black people walk into their new homes, and when white people get their new renovated homes, it's two different responses. When black people come in, they say, oh my God, thank you, Lord, thank you, God, thank you, Jesus. What a blessing. But when white people come to see their new house, and I do have to admit that even though I did get hypnotized, I was mad as hell watching HGTV. Here I am trying to navigate through poverty, and I see this man, here this man is 28 years old, he's a teacher's assistant. His wife is a part-time music coach, and she's 27, and whenever they ask you, so what is your budget for your new home? These little young crackers got the nerve to say, well, we don't want to go anything past 800,000. I said, 800,000? How you get that kind of money this young? But white people have something we don't have. They have something called generational wealth. They have money that came from their mothers and their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers that was rooted in the cotton fields on the slave plantation. They had us working from can't see morning to can't see night, 24 hours a day shifts, and we didn't get paid a dime, and they were trading cotton, which then was what oil is now. So they're supposed to have some money like that. But whenever white people walked into their new fixer-uppers, wasn't talking about it's a blessing in Jesus and the Lord and God and thank you to the Lord. No, they say, oh my word. Holy cow. Even whenever we get awards, you see the difference. You watch black people get an award. And even so, most of the time the award for the song ain't a good song now. Even whenever a black artist gets an award, and in that song he's already killed 72 people, took 5 different dudes' girls, sold 100 pounds of heroin, and popped 2 pills per hour. After all that killing and dope dealing, dope selling, and stealing somebody's woman, before I say anything, I like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for without him would none of this be possible. Am I telling the truth? But turn on the Country Music Awards. Let Garth Brooks and one of them come up there. Yeah, hello guys, hello. I like to thank my manager. I'd like to thank my drummer, Ricky. You've been there for me from the beginning. Love you, man. I'd like to thank my wife, and I'd like to thank my whole team. And above all, most important of all, I mean, I'm telling you, without there doing none, and you think he going to say God, he say, I'd like to thank my fans. No God nowhere in the midst. Am I telling the truth? We are spiritual people by nature. Success is not the outside only. Success is the inside and the outside. Y'all still all right? In Islam, before we come to prayer, there is something called the adhan. The adhan is the call to prayer that originated out of the creative mind of a black Ethiopian Muslim by the name of Bilal. Bilal noticed that all the faiths had different ways that they called the congregation to prayer. The Christians had their bells. The Jews had the ram horn. Bilal said, well, wait a minute, if man is considered to be the supreme creation and under our authority, subservient to us, is the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, everything within the heavens and everything within the earth, surely the human voice would trump the voice of a horn. So Bilal began calling people to prayer with his own voice. And when Muhammad heard the call, he said, that's it. And from that day to this, it has become the way by which the believers are called to prayer. The call to prayer is the same 4 times a day. It only changes one time, and that's for Fajr prayer, which is the early morning prayer before dawn. There's a line that's been added to the call. And that line that's been added to the adhan in the Fajr prayer is prayer is better than sleep. Well, I know what he's doing now, because sleep is good. And he know that if we on that pillow and we finally got that perfect cool spot, everything angled right, and the alarm go off, if we don't have in our mind thinking prayer is better than sleep, we might stay asleep. The reason why it becomes so important to wake up to embrace creation is because we are the authority of the creation. We should be up before it is up. We should not need a rooster to wake us up. The rooster should need us to wake up. There's an old saying that the early bird gets the worm. Something about waking up early, you get more done. And let me tell you something, if you're a go-getter, if you're somebody that likes making stuff happen, if in your mind you are moving through the earth competing with all the citizens of the planet on your way toward becoming successful, it's something about it has a certain feeling whenever you wake up and it's still dark outside. And you know you've prayed and you've read and you've exercised and you got a 4-hour head start on the hunt. Surely if you got a 4-hour head start on the hunt, you're going to get to the prey before you, come on, y'all know what I'm saying. You're going to get there before your opponent gets there. I noticed something in leaving the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's presence is that many times he'll say a little short prayer for you as you depart. And he says, may Allah bless you with a peaceful night's rest and an early morning rise. Why early morning rise? Because the early bird gets that worm. In the Bible, in Proverbs 20, verse 13, it says, love not sleep, lest you come to poverty. Open your eyes and you will have plenty of bread. Now, I don't know how it is in Chicago, but where I'm from, there's a whole lot of different synonyms for money. Chips, bank, skrill, dough, guap. Is bread one of them? So if we wake up and open our eyes early, you will have plenty of bread available. Something to think about. In this Adhan, brothers and sisters, the caller to the prayer says, Hayya ala salat twice, which means come to prayer. And then he says, Hayya ala falah. There's an argument going on in the Arabic lexicology as to whether or not this word falah means come to success, or does it mean come to cultivation? We say it's not either or, it's both and. Come to cultivation that will ultimately lead to success. This word falah is an infinite form of the word muluflahun, which doesn't just mean success, but it means the complete development of the innermost faculties of man and the achievement of both moral and material greatness. In other words, it means doing it all on the inside and getting everything you need on the outside. So success is not just about money, it's also about morals. Success is not just about being rich, it's also about being right. Success is not just about getting bread, it's also about increasing your belief. Success is not just about growing your finance, it's also about growing your faith. Success is not about having a whole lot of dollar in your life, it's about having a whole lot of Allah in your life too. You got to have the God in the equation. All praises are due to Allah. Somebody said, we said this in another city, they said, well, my Bible said that money is the root of all evil. That's not what it says. Our problem is that as a people, we go by the Bible, but not into the Bible. We have a hand-me-down religion. We got a religion based upon a few quotes of the Reverend. We know John 3:16 and the chorus for 9 church songs and say we got enough. However, the original text in that verse does not say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. The master teacher among us, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, said that if you take the word love and live and put them next to each other, they're the same word, they just have different vowels. If you take the O out of love and put it where the I is in live, live becomes love. And if you take the I out of live and put it where the O is in love, love will become live. Whenever the love of money being the root of all, it means when you start living for money. When everything you do is about money, it's when your mindset is that I'll do anything for money. Be careful when somebody tells you that money is everything. Because whoever tells you that money is everything will normally do anything to get it. You got to watch that kind of person. You got to watch them. Money is a good servant, but it's a horrible master. By any means necessary. That's not a quote from God. from El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, which is the version of Malcolm X after he left the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. That by any means necessary with the beard, by any means necessary with the rifle at the side of the window. That is not the Malcolm X that you have grown to know and to love. By any means necessary, that means that you'll do wrong to get it. That means you'll steal to get it. That means you'll rob or you'll rape or you'll kill to get it. That's not the code of God. The code of God is by any means in accord with the will of God. I will engage in that activity to achieve my objective. All praises are due to Allah. Do you know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in a study guide number 8 called Building the Will, makes this revolutionary statement about us and our relationship with money? He says, it was never in Allah, God's intention, that we experience poverty. We're born to be rich. Okay, I only have 4 people that agree with that. How many of you want a lot of money? Raise your hand. Anybody didn't raise their hand, elbow them right now. Tell you something, anybody tell you that they don't want a whole lot of money, you better be careful around them because they'll lie about some other stuff too. The purpose for the money is not for extravagance, to show off, to be praised of men, but to have a lot of money to be able to invest in your community, to be able to turn the food desert into a food oasis, to have a lot of money, which means that you can start businesses that can provide our people with jobs that they can make gainful employment. That's the purpose of having a lot of money. It ain't the money that's the problem, it's what you do with the money. All praise are due to Allah. In this book, Quran, the chief attribute of Allah is a word called Rab, R-A-A-B, which means Lord. When you look in the Bible, every time you read about God, you'll read about different other words used to describe the supreme being, but there is no other word in the Bible that replaces God more than Lord. What does Lord mean? According to the Arabic word Rab, Lord means the creator of a thing, the sustainer and the nurturer of the thing, and the evolver of that thing stage by stage until it reaches perfection. Not until it reaches mediocre, not until it reaches average, not until it reaches good, but until it reaches, is there anything in the universe perfect but God? So if we were born in the world and God created us, yes, he did. Mama and daddy might not have planned us to come into existence. We might have been an accident to them, but we were on purpose for God. The Holy Quran says that I, Allah, created you in the womb of your mother. In the Bible, in the book of Jeremiah, it says it like this: God talking, I knew you before you were in the womb of your mother, and I formed you in your mother's womb. Daddy planted the seed. Mama provided the environment. But it was the Lord of the worlds that was responsible for every last one of us coming into existence. All praises are due to Allah. You think the Lord of the worlds would have brought us into a world where the world's supposed to have 1% of the people with 50% of the wealth? How could he bring us into the world to be created by him, nurtured, sustained, and evolved by him until we reach perfection and we be broke? No, if God is perfect, see, broke God, that's an oxymoron. Broke God. Don't even sound right, do it? You know what an oxymoron is, right? When you put two things together that are opposite of one another in definition to describe one thing, like a ham sandwich on wheat bread. I mean, if you're gonna eat that, you might as well put it on. You might as well. You're gonna die now. No sense in putting it on no grains and fiber. Good devil. A freed slave. Jumbo shrimp. On the news the other day, they said we just got finished seizing a bad batch of heroin. Hey, hell, is it a good batch? Oxymoron. So if you and I are created to become a God, okay, I didn't have nobody to agree with that one, okay. Did not the Bible say that when he made us in his image and after his? Do you know, brothers and sisters, that if we are in the image and the likeness of God, when God looks at us, he sees himself? Our problem is when we look at ourselves, we don't see God. If we are created in the image and the likeness of God, that means everything that's true about God is also true about you. If we are created in the image and the likeness of God, image is a physical reflection. Likeness is a spiritual reflection. If we are in the image and the likeness of God, we're not a duplicate of God, we are a replica of God. And there's a difference. There's a difference between a duplicate and a replica. A duplicate can look like but doesn't have the power and the function of. But when something is a replica, it doesn't just look like, it also has the power and the function of. If we were created as a duplicate, God would have said he made us in his image and stop. But the fact that he said likeness means that inside of us, brothers and sisters, we have divine DNA. We have holy heredity. We have God's genetic makeup in us. Prosperity is built in our plasma. We are the gods of the universe in our fullest developed stage. All praise are due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. So, part of success does have something to do with acquisition of material wealth. No, let me say, no, look, I'm not saying that money is everything, but it is right up there with oxygen. Y'all didn't catch that. Y'all didn't catch that. In Ecclesiastes 10:19, it says, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh one merry, but money answereth all things. Truth is, money is a major stat of life. It's not the main stat, but it's one of the major stats. It may not be points, but it's definitely rebounds or assists. Might not be quite touchdowns, but it is a fourth down, 10 to 12 yard gain, getting us a new first down. It's up there. When you look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, really, to tell you the truth, I started to just make the lecture 2 minutes. I started to say the formula of success is the word and the way of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. I could have done it and it would have been the truth. This is a man that demonstrates unconditional love, unshakable faith, extraordinary effort, divine focus. There has never been another Farrakhan in the world before. He is the greatest teacher that the world has ever seen of any truth. All praises are due to Allah. One of the things that you'll notice, though, is that anytime the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan writes a letter, as a general rule, every letter that you see him write starts off with the same opening. May this letter find you in the best of cars and shoes. It don't say that? May this letter find you in the best of jewelry and garment. It don't say that? May this letter find you in the best of health and what is he telling us? He's letting us know that whenever you have one organism that has good health and good spirit coexisting inside of one body, the synergism of being in a good spirit and also having good health to go with that spirit makes you an unstoppable man and an unstoppable woman when it comes to life. So more important than money is the soul. Okay, there's 12 people that agreed. Oh, Lord. Y'all all right? Let's see if we can. Okay, example. What would it profit a man if he? Oh, some of y'all went to Sunday school. What would it profit a man if he what? And did what? So you mean to tell me the Lord of the worlds is doing a comparison? He got all the wealth of the world on one side, and he's comparing the value of all of the wealth of the world to the individual soul. And the conclusion is, what would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lost his soul? He's saying that the soul is more valuable than all the wealth of the earth. Oh, praise are due to Allah. Seek ye the and seek ye what? So the soul becomes most important. The kingdom of God and righteousness becomes most important. But notice he didn't say seek ye only. He said seek ye first. That means there can be some second seekings, maybe some third seekings. But the first thing that should be looked after, cultivated, first thing that must be maintained, fed, and properly nourished has to be the soul. All praise is due to Allah. Seek ye first the what? And what happens? All the what? But most of us got that bass backward. Y'all didn't catch that. We've been seeking things first, and then we start trying to get the soul watered when the relationship problems show up, when the money get low, when life's problems show up. Now it's time to start to praying and you know what I'm talking about. The Holy Quran says that whenever they are afflicted under trial, they make their sincerest supplications. And as soon as we remove them from the burden, they go back as if they had never had a burden before. That's why in Islam, we have to make sure that when we pray, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says in Message to the Black Man, the prayer section, there are two sides to prayer. He said one side of prayer is thanksgiving, and the other side is petitioning. We've got to make sure that we do more thanksgiving, thanking Allah for what He already has given us, than petitioning Him for something else all the time. Because in the Muslim prayer, whenever we are in the sitting position, we ask Allah, help me to stay steadfast in my prayers and also my children. Well, what if the God starts doing an inventory and say, okay, they asked me to help them be steadfast in their prayers, but the only time they are steadfast in their prayers is when they're under trial and affliction. So maybe I got to keep them under trial. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying. But what happens when the Lord of the worlds hears the request to help me to be steadfast in my prayers, and then He looks in our life and find that every chance we get, we are thanking Allah for the gift of life, thanking Him for sight, thanking Him for hearing, thanking Him for our children, thanking Him to be able to absorb the nutrients from the sun, thanking Him for the food on the table, thanking Him for everything that we've been able to experience. Then the Lord of the world starts saying, all praise is due to Allah. This is the kind of believer that is steadfast in the prayer whenever good happens to them, when blessings come their way. So let me keep them coming. Make sense? What would it profit a man? So the soul is the most important. The soul should be fed 7 days a week. Is that right? 365 days a year. There's a verse in the Bible that says, pray without ceasing, just don't faint. In other words, the God is saying, every time you get an idle moment, start thanking the God for something. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. You see people walking around now, especially us, with these big old no days off shirts. You go ask them, what does it mean? No days off. They tell you, man, I'm on my grind. I'm on that paper chase. I'm out here getting it. But no days off shouldn't be a shirt we wear to talk about our paper chase or our acquisition of wealth. No days off should be something when somebody asks us, what does that mean? That means that I'm staying constantly in remembrance of God. I'm always out here trying to redeem my people. I'm always looking for somebody less fortunate to look out for. No days off. I'm a servant of the people and a servant of my God. That's what no days off should really look like. Y'all still all right? Yes, sir. In the 3rd chapter of John, the Lord of the world says this: above all things, brethren, I wish that you should prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth. Now, you know, even means also, but in mathematics, in construction, whenever you tell someone to build something even with another object, you're saying you want it at the same height, at the same length. So if I said, let's stack the books even with the rostrum, that means that we bring the books all the way up until it becomes level with the rostrum. But the object of relativity that is established is the rostrum. Well, if God says that above all things, brethren, I wish that you should prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth, ask yourself, how much money do you want? How good of health do you want to have? Make sure your soul is already on that level. Because the goal is to bring up the pocket, to bring up the health, to match the morals and the character of the soul. Success is much bigger than money. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. In order for us to have success, in closing, it has to be about the soul, the mind, the body, and yes, the pocket. Would you agree? Notice, have you ever looked at the word ease and noticed that the word ease and the word easel come from the same root word? What does an easel do? An easel is that which is the device used to keep something in balance. So what is the lesson? That ease comes in life when we live the appropriate balance of life. Does that make sense? Unfortunately, brothers and sisters, there is no cheat code for life. There ain't no jailbreak, there's no hack, there's no superfood, no secret pill, There's no special meditation. There's no special chant. The success is a campaign of discipline. It takes hard work to be successful. What is discipline? Discipline is doing what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like doing it or not. Discipline is when you make your yes, and your no. Discipline is commitment. And commitment means that you don't quit when you're tired, you quit when you're done. The highest expression of commitment came from a conversation between Master Fard Muhammad and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Supreme Wisdom Lessons. Master Fard Muhammad asked the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, have you not learned that your word shall be bond, regardless to whom or what? Stop right there. Because every human being on the planet is a whom. Every situation and circumstance is categorized as a what. So the God is asking his Christ, have you not learned that regardless to how many people are against you, regardless to the shape or the nature of the circumstance, have you learned that no matter whether all 7 billion people on the earth stand against you and you got every circumstance arrayed against you at the same time, have you not yet learned that your word shall be bond? And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad responded to his teacher. He said, yes, sir, my word is bond, and bond is life, and I shall give my life before my word shall fail. That's commitment. That's self-mastery. That's supreme discipline. He's saying that I'll die on what I say. That's commitment. Whenever you have self-discipline, you don't wait to feel good to do good. You do good and make yourself feel good. Do you know that Allah in the Bible said that he put under our control and authority all the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and every creeping thing that crawls on the earth? In the Holy Quran, it's on another level. In Surah 14, it says subservient to man is all the ships and the seas thereof. That he's made subservient to man the sun, the moon, the stars. That he's put under our control and authority, subservient everything in the heavens and in the earth and all that is between it. Well, if you got everything under your control, a real soldier doesn't wait for the spirit to move them. A real spirit gets up and moves the spirit. A real soldier gets up and moves the spirit. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. So, in a formula, we've been given, as in Islam, a methodology of cultivating the soul. In Islam, we pray 5 times a day. In Islam, we're supposed to pray. Get a little more bearing witness with that one. Do you know that if we made all of our 5 daily prayers, it would only take 35 minutes to complete all of them? Here the God gave us 24 hours. And he's asking us to just give him 35 minutes of remembrance. And don't even worry about it. You don't have to give me all 35 at one time. I'll break it up into 5 parts. Boy, that's mercy. 35 minutes to feed and water that soul. Well, what does it take to feed and water the mind? Did you know that the brain is a muscle? Which means that as a muscle, it functions under the logic that all other muscles function under. Every muscle in the body has an appropriate exercise of resistance that is designed to make that muscle stronger. Is this the truth? When you want the bicep muscle to be made strong, what do? Curls. Is that right? When you want to get your triceps right, you do what? Push downs. When you want to get your chest muscles strong, when you want them to get size and strength, what do? A press. When you're working on your quads or your legs, the appropriate exercise for the quads or the legs is the what? It's squats. Is that right? When you want your back to be strong, you do what? Pull downs. Well, the same way that curls strengthen the bicep, squats strengthen the legs, press strengthens the chest, push down strengthens the triceps, the brain muscle is made strong by reading and studying the truth. The more we read, reading is the appropriate exercise of mental resistance that makes the brain strong. Did you know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that every one of us should study 30 minutes a day with the goal of 1 hour a day? Y'all not hearing me? See, what is it that causes stress in life? It's problems that are unsolved. Is that right? When you really break it down, all hell is an environment full of unsolved problems. Y'all ain't catching that. But heaven is an environment where you got the solution for all the problems in that environment. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, poverty is not lack of money, poverty is lack of know-how. Y'all not hearing me? You know, listen to me, brothers. Don't stop listening to Reverend Porkchop and Bishop Hogmaw. You are not getting ready to die and go nowhere to heaven or to hell. There is no hell underneath the ground, and there is no devil down there that's going to burn you forever. If hell is down underneath the ground as they said that it was, and there was a devil down there, and according to the Bible, it's 7 times hotter than the sun. Did you know the sun is 93 million miles away, burning at 14,072 degrees? And in 93 million miles away, it's catching trees on fire in California as we speak? But you telling me I got a hell that's inside the center of the earth, and the earth is 7,926 miles in diameter, so hell's 4,000 miles away, burning at 7 times hotter than the sun, which means it's over 98,000 degrees, and we ain't burned up yet? No, ain't no heaven out there. You say, but I was always told that Jesus went, that he's gone forth to prepare a place for me, that where he is, I might be also. Yeah, he was talking about a level of existence. He's talking about a plane of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He wasn't talking about some special spot in the clouds somewhere. Oh, okay, y'all still don't. Okay, how did he get out there? Jesus. Did he go to heaven on a cloud? They say his mode of transportation was a cloud, is that right? Yes, sir. And it says that he shall return in like manner. If you go on the NASA website, the average speed of lower clouds is 6 to 10 miles per hour, and the higher clouds is 30 to 100 miles per hour. So the average speed, y'all see where I'm going with this? Do y'all see where I'm going with this? The average speed of a cloud is 60 miles per hour. If Jesus is on his way to heaven, and heaven is beyond this galaxy, and the tip of the galaxy, the last planet in the galaxy, is Pluto, and Pluto is 4,600,000,000 miles away from the sun. And since we're 93 million miles away from the sun, it makes Pluto, what's the math? 140 million and 104, what is it? 1,460,000,000. Oh, y'all understand what I'm saying? We fall. We real fall. That means that if Jesus is on a cloud and he's going an average of 60 miles per hour, in order for him to get from Earth to Pluto, it would take him approximately 8,569 years. Problem is, he's only been gone for 2,000. So hell, they ain't even made to Mars yet. Come on now. No, brothers and sisters. This is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, heaven and hell is not a place. He said heaven and hell are a state of mind. Heaven and hell is a state of being. Heaven and hell is a condition of life. Whenever a baby's born, you're in an emotional heaven. But when someone you love dies, you're in an emotional hell. Someone that's paralyzed from the neck down is in a physical hell. But one manifesting full athletic abilities in a physical heaven. Someone that can't provide food, clothing, and shelter for their young, they are in a financial hell. But if anything you see, you can say be, and it is, because you got enough money, you're in a financial heaven. If you can't read or write, you're in a mental hell. But when you got knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you're in a mental heaven. We've been knowing heaven and hell wasn't no place. We just got taken to the land of make-believe by a preacher. When that air was off during the summertime, you say, man, it's hot as hell in here. And when that heat was off in the wintertime, another opposite extreme, you say, man, it's cold as hell in here. You see somebody all messed up and disfigured in the face, say, man, look, he ugly as hell. He ain't dead, he alive, but he ugly as hell. Somebody come to borrow some money from you and you don't have none. You reach in your pocket and say, look, man, I'm broke as hell right now. You ain't died and went nowhere. Let me tell you something. If you think you're going to die and go somewhere, you crazy as hell. We better work hard to secure something sound on the ground while we still around. Success. Success. So, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said for mental success, to make the brain muscle strong, the appropriate amount formula of reading or studying is 1 hour a day. Did you know right now that there are 14.7 pounds of atmospheric pressure per square inch of your human body? Which means that that's a lot of pressure on us at one time. But because we have access to do something called exhaling, we can push out more air than the atmospheric pressure is putting on us. So we operate and move as if no pressure is on us. What the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is saying, that we live in a time right now that has more mental stress than ever in the history of the world. So there's a lot of stress and pressure on the mind. But if you want to have enough inspiration, that whenever you let your expiration off of what you know in your head, if you wanted to be able to balance the pressure from the atmosphere, you need 1 hour a day of study. And if you put in 1 hour a day in study, no matter how much devil comes from out there, you got more God in you than devil out there. No matter how much falsehood comes from out there, you got more truth than falsehood out there. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. So 1 hour a day. Man, so we got prayer, study, 35 plus what? 1 hour. That's it. Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that a sound mind lives in a sound body. Are y'all all right? Yes, and before we begin, you will not have a sound body eating the Popeye's chicken sandwich, nor the one from Chick-fil-A. Do you know we ought to be ashamed of ourselves? Do you know the Axis Marketing Group did a study to see how much free advertisement black people gave Popeye's chicken? And by us going back and forth arguing over which white man chicken sandwich is better than the other white man chicken sandwich, we gave Popeye's chicken $23.35 million worth of free advertisement. Man, I wish we would do that for Salam Bakery. I wish we do that for Respect for Life Bookstore. I wish we do that for some black-owned, black-operated businesses in our community. Ain't neither one of them good for you. You see, again, security. It's getting sensitive now. Go look on the website. On the Popeye's chicken website, there are 40 ingredients in that chicken sandwich. I said 40. And out of the 40 ingredients in the Popeye's chicken sandwich, 33 of them are man-made chemicals. Go and look on the Chick-fil-A website. There's 55 ingredients in their chicken sandwich. And 35 of them are man-made chemicals. You not eating no chicken sandwich. You eating a chemical sandwich with a little bit of chicken inside of it. No, brothers and sisters. A sound body will never come from Popeye's, Chick-fil-A. You can't go to McDevil's. You can't go to the White Casket. You can't go to Taco Hell. You can't go to Long John Killers. You can't go get whopped in the head with some cheese at the Murder King. You can't go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. In order for you to have a sound body, you're going to have to follow How to Eat to Live by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is the divine diet of God, designed to make a God out of those who consume according to it. The principle, foundation of how to eat to live is eating one meal a day. I said the foundation of how to eat to live is eating one meal a day. There was a brother the other day and he was admiring my stomach because it was considered to be flat according to him. But I know what you know not. But according to him, he said, man, you looking good. I said, all praise is due to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's How to Eat to Live. He said, yeah, I've been on How to Eat to Live too. I said, yes, sir. My brother, you've been on How to Eat to Live? He said, yes, sir. I said, one meal a day? Because I'm be honest with you. He had something that needs to be submitted to the new ICD-9-5 book that determines diseases and conditions. It should be a new condition in there called the Dunlap disease, which is when your belly Dunlapped over your belt. So the brother, I seen it. So he said, yeah, I've been eating one meal a day. And I said, you've been eating one meal a day? Because I'm asking him the question again. Giving him a chance, maybe, clean it up a little bit. So that before we leave, truth has been told. He said, yeah, my problem ain't the one meal a day. I've been doing real good on my one meal a day. My biggest problem is I've been eating 2 more at night. Oh, God. Well, hey, the minister said deceptive intelligence, rationalizing disobedience is the self-grafting of devil himself. God. No, one meal every 24 hours. Are y'all all right? Did you know, brothers and sisters, that How to Eat to Live, eating one meal a day, and when mastering that, going to eating one meal every other day, and then when mastering that, going to eat one meal and fast in 3 days, which means that you'll eat the most 2 times a week. See, somebody said, but you need a certain amount of protein and amino acids, and you got to have all your nutrients and vitamins. How many nutrients and vitamins do you need if you can live off of eating 2 meals a week? Everything we eat protein or eat to get protein from doesn't eat meat to get protein for itself. Think about that for a second. You mean to tell me that the cow, an inferior mammal to man, can make its own protein? The goat, an inferior mammal to man, can make its own protein? The chicken, and inferior to man, can make its own protein, and you and me, who are the supreme beings of the planet, we too cannot convert the amino acids from the vegetables and make our own protein for ourselves? No, there's a diet for God, just like there was a diet for a slave. In a book called The Peculiar Institution, a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson in 1859 wrote an essay called The Proper Feeding of a Negro. Listen to his words. He said, pork and corn are the most valuable of all articles for the Negro diet. It will make them just like our livestock. Why? Because you are. Okay, you are what you eat. What that means is that whatever we consume, we began adopting the characteristics of it. Did you know that the pig is a mixture of a cat, rat, and a dog? Which means that in the very nature of the hog, it is self-conflicted. Because the cat, the rat, and the dog are all natural enemies of one another. The cat is always trying to get the rat and the mouse, and the dog is always trying to get the cat. So if we are eating an animal by nature which is self-conflicting, then we too become self-conflicted as well, because you are what you eat. Did you know the pig, so teaches the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, is 999% poison? It has inside of its flesh a microscopic maggot called a trichina worm. There's 100,000 trichina worms for every 1/10 of an inch of pig flesh. And if you cook it, they don't die. Whenever the heat is on the pig's flesh, the worm balls up into a protective shell where it can withstand the heat while the heat is on. It opens back up later on. Once those worms open back up in your stomach, they start eating your digestive fluids. Start going into the spine, eating away at the membranes in the spine. Work their way into the brain and start eating the brain cells. Wait a minute, if it's eating our digestive fluids, membranes in the spine, eating our brain cells, eating our eye tissue, are we eating pork or is pork eating us? Sound like the pig doing a better job eating us. And once it eats the brain cells, it sounds our mental power. So pig became a food for a slave. Give them some calories for plantation work. But while they're getting energy for plantation work, they're getting dumber and dumber, making it easier for them to be made a slave. Did you know that whenever they have a racehorse, they don't feed it the same way they do a domesticated horse? If someone has a fight dog, they don't feed the fight dog the same way they feed the dog that's at the house. Is this the truth? Did you know that there really is no difference between the queen bee and the other female bees in a hive? The only thing different about the queen bee is that one of them was selected to receive royal jelly implants into the larva stage while that female bee was developing. And because the royal jelly is a higher quality food than what the other bees are eating, then the queen bee becomes 3 to 4 times the size of the regular bees, is smarter than the regular bees, and lives a lot longer. I wonder what will happen if the queen of the planet Earth start eating a high quality diet too. I wonder what would happen. So if gods eat a slave diet, a god can become a slave. But if the slaves go back to the diet of God, then we the slaves can become a god again. So you got 1 hour of study, 35 minutes of prayer. Eat to live doesn't take no time. In fact, it saves you time and money. But in addition to eat to live, in order to make a sound body, you can't just govern what goes in the mouth. We also have to engage in exercise. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that each one of us should exercise 30 minutes a day. Now, you know, you got everybody to do different training. They tell you what to do. No, you got to run if you really want to get your metabolism. No, bro, you got to start getting on that bike. I'm telling you, the bike is. No, you got to buy. No, you see the elliptical machine, no impact, just rotate. No, walk to. Whatever you like doing. Whatever you can do to get your heart rate up for 30 minutes and you can keep it like that, get doing it. But if the mathematics of developing the mind, the body, the soul, is all combined together to come up to 2 hours and 5 minutes a day, that leaves the other 22 hours where we can be out working to make money for ourselves, and more importantly, in the field, working to free our people and snatch them from the clutches of Satan's grip. We can do it, brothers and sisters. So I say that if you want to follow the formula of success, leave Mos Maryam with your mind made up that I'm walking out with the Farrakhan state of mind. What is the Farrakhan state of mind? The Farrakhan state of mind is unconditional love plus unshakable faith multiplied by divine focus and extraordinary effort. And if we do that, we will be of the successful ones. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar. Brothers and sisters, were you spiritually fed this morning? Let's give our brother student minister Nuri from Indianapolis another round of applause. All praise is due to Allah. Brothers, if you can have a seat for just a brief moment, we just want to ask a few questions before we head out this evening.
Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. I wanted to say that I see one of the greatest soldiers the Nation of Islam has ever produced, a man that we all love and admire, a great executor of the Farrakhan formula of success. Our brother and student supreme captain, Brother Mustafa Farrakhan. Let's give our brother a round of applause. Love you, sir. All praise are due to Allah. Takbir! Takbir! And for all of our guests, let me clear it up real quick. Takbir does not mean blow up a bus. Did y'all hear me? Takbir means glorify God. And what you heard everyone say when I said Takbir, they said Allahu Akbar, which means God is the greatest. This was the mantra. This was the axiom. This was the chant we had anytime where we were engaged in any war, any great endeavor. Before we ever stepped foot on the battlefield or dealt with any opposing force, we would always say Allahu Akbar and call on the Lord of the worlds to help us, and then remind ourselves that Allah is greater than the Goths or the Visigoths or the nomads or the Anglo-Saxons or whoever's invading us. God is greater than all of them. Surely we need some more Allahu Akbars in our system today, as we've got all kind of stuff invading us. Sisters and brothers, how many of you came out today and this was your first time ever being at the mosque? Can we see your hand? Anybody? Got a few brothers? Couple sisters? Now, let me ask you this. How many of you are here and this your first, second, or your third time being here? Can we see your hand? Beautiful, beautiful. Out of those of you that are here for your first time, second time, third time, how many of you believe that what you heard today is true and is good for our people, and you'll come back and visit us again? Can we see your hand? All praises are due to Allah. Out of those of you that raised your hand, how many of you say today, you know what? I want to step out here into the formula of success. And I want to join the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam in the work of the redemption and the restoration of myself, my family, and my people. Can we see your hand if you're with that? Raise your hand if you're with that. I see my sisters. Any brothers? My brother? My brother? Well, those of you that are here On behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and on behalf of the Executive Council and the laboring body of Mas Mariam, I'd like to have the honor of shaking your hand. Can we do that? For you, if you're a first-time sister, come on down. We'd like to shake your hand. Brothers, come down to the center. We'd like the opportunity just to shake your hand. My hand is not special. Yours is. And we'd like to congratulate you and welcome you to the first day of the rest of your life. The first day of the rest of your life.
All praise. All praise is due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, let's give some better love up than that. We got these beautiful black women, beautiful black men coming down the center aisle, ready to start their new journey. This is exciting. This is family. This is love. They could have been doing anything else this Sunday morning, getting ready for some football, but they're here learning about the knowledge and wisdom of God. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah.
That's the greatest compliment you could ever receive. My sister, she said that she was crying this morning and a little troubled. And she said, I want to see Minister Farrakhan today. And she said, I want to come and let you know that I seen Minister Farrakhan today in you. All praise are due to Allah. Like I said, we bear witness, he is the teacher. Our job is not to make any students of us, it's to get you to pull your desk up next to ours and become a student with us in the classroom, that we can all go out and snatch our people from the clutches of Satan and give them back to the God that came to claim them. Thank you so much, Mas Mariam. May Allah bless you. As I greet you in peace, Assalamu alaikum.
All praise is due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, before we head out this morning, we want to take a moment in our program dedicated to charity or zakat. We ask that at this time the Ministry of Finance comes down the center aisle. At this time, brothers and sisters, if you feel like what you heard today was beneficial to yourselves and to our community, we ask that you give in the cause in the way of Allah by taking out whatever you may have to contribute in your purse or your wallet, and just give in a cheerful spirit. And the Holy Quran promises that whatever we give desiring Allah's pleasure, he will always give to us manifold of his blessing. And if you know Allah, you know God, you know he's not a liar. Brothers and sisters, we have a few meetings throughout the week that we want to invite each and every one of you to. On Monday afternoons or evenings at 7:30 p.m., we have a men's class, or the class that is for the FOI. Even if you don't consider yourself a Muslim or an FOI, we still have a portion of our class called processing that we want to invite each and every brother here in Chicago to, and also those who are tuned in across the country. You can Google search your local mosque or study group. But at 7:30 p.m. on every Monday night, we have a men's class where we share brotherhood, go over information, share nuggets and wisdom with one another, and we learn how we can better contribute to our community and become better men and take ownership and responsibility. So we ask that whether or not you identify as Muslim or whatever it may be, that you come out on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. and join your brothers. For our sisters, your class is on Saturdays at 9 a.m. We encourage our sisters to come out and learn more about what it is to be a righteous woman of God and how you all can collectively contribute to the betterment of our community as well. And we have 2 meetings throughout the week. That is on Wednesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. on both days. On Wednesdays, we have a lecture series. And then on Fridays, we have our study session. And the basis of that study is self-improvement, the basis of community development. So we ask that each of you all make your way to as many of those meetings as you possibly can. We know that when you're trying to become a better version of yourself, you have to put yourself in the right environment. So hanging out in Satan's world throughout the week and only coming on Sundays is not going to do it. It's not enough. Come out and study with your brothers and sisters throughout the week. We also want to make the announcement on behalf of the Nation of Islam. Brother Saad said that on October the 13th is our official Holy Day of Atonement. For those who are not familiar with what that is the anniversary of the Million Man March. which took place in 1995, where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called for 1 million men to come to Washington, D.C. and accept ownership and atone. And at that event, over 2 million people showed, or 2 million brothers showed up. And every year we have a commemoration or an anniversary celebration. So again, that is this year, October 13th. And it will be held in the respective cities, so there's no location or arena that we'll be gathering in across the nation. Each city is asked to conduct that in their very own cities. One more brief announcement, brothers and sisters. Tonight is the night of our evening of celebration. This is the 30th year anniversary banquet of the Muhammad University of Islam. This has been 30 years since the minister has decided to rebuild it. First of all, let's give that a round of applause. Independent education. Brothers and sisters, it's very difficult to build a brand new world with old ideas. And if we're going to begin to have new ideas, we need a new educational paradigm, which is what Muhammad University of Islam represents. But today, which is September the 8th, today, Sunday, it will be held at 7 p.m. at the South Shore Cultural Center, that's 7059 South Shore Drive, Chicago, Illinois. This is a celebration, but it is also a fundraiser, and we're asking that everyone purchases a tax-deductible donation of $100, and you can purchase your tickets at Eventbrite. We're expecting to hear from our brother, Student Minister Nuri Muhammad, in tonight's keynote, and then we also may have the privilege and honor of having the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in our presence as well at the banquet. So we encourage each and every one of you, either you can come on your own, we would love to have you in the building, or even if you're unable, if you could just sponsor a ticket and help support independent education, because we don't take grants, we don't do Budweiser ads, we're not selling Modelos, so we have to finance and fund our own reality. Brothers and sisters, with that being said, we're going to close out in prayer, but if the local believers could just hold their places after prayer, we have about 2 local announcements. Please stand. Attention prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path of those whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in. Brothers and sisters, real